The last time the Philadelphia Flyers landed the number 2 overall pick, it turned out to be James Van Riemsdyk. Didn't turn out to be too hot. But this time, with only a 2.4% chance of landing the number 2 overall pick, hell, who the hell cares who they take? It's awesome that they even got the number 2 pick. Caleb Weiler's here. I'm Adrian Fecchio. Yeah, I know it's been a couple weeks since they got that number 2 pick, but we're going to talk Flyers right now. Caleb, how's it going, man?
Hey, it's going great. Even better now to see that the Flyers are going to be able to jumpstart their rebuild with this number 2 overall pick. Could not be more excited.
Yeah, and let's talk about this draft. It's considered to be a weak draft, but there are 2 clear prospects up top. Now, I want you to get into who these guys are for the people that don't know anything about the NHL draft.
Correct. All right. So, like you said, this is a weak draft. But you have to put it in comparison to the last 2 drafts. We had Connor McDavid, Jack Eichel 1 and 2 years ago, and then Austin Matthews and Patrick Laine 1 and 2 last year. And those guys are like game-changing, franchise-changing players. Like without a doubt, those guys are going to – obviously they took their teams to the playoffs this year, minus Patrick Laine and Jack Eichel. But the number 1 overalls did that. And so, you know, the Flyers actually kind of lucked out getting number 2 instead of number 1 because they get whoever's left over after the Devils pick. So if the Devils make the wrong decision, the Flyers kind of luck out with that. So, like you said, this is a weak draft class, but the top 2 guys are definitely going to be franchise players. So you have Nolan Patrick and Nico Hischier. Patrick is more of like a big-bodied two-way centerman. They're both centermans. And Patrick has kind of been a streaky with his injuries. He didn't play a full season this year. He didn't play with his teams in the playoffs. But he did play 33 games, and he did put up 46 points, 20 goals, and 26 assists. And he was phenomenal. And the nice thing about him is that he adds size to a Flyers team that doesn't have too much size down the middle. I mean, you have Claude Giroux, and Sean Couturier is kind of big, but he's not a big bruising center like Nolan Patrick is. So that's something that's really good. And then he also plays for Brandon, and he played on the same team as Ivan Provorov did. In junior. So there's a nice connection there. And then same with Hextall. He played for Brandon, so his connection's back there as well. So Patrick, who is actually the consensus first overall pick, falls to the Flyers. That'd be great for them. But on the other end, you have Hischier, who is more of a flashy type player. He's a little bit smaller than – oh, there's my dog. A little bit smaller than
dog!
Puck just wants to say hi. But you have Hischier, who's a little bit smaller. He's about 6 feet, 179 pounds, but he's more compared to like a Pavel Datsyuk, where he's a little bit more flashy with his play. He's a great player. He's kind of shot up the draft board over the last few years. Patrick was by far going to be the number 1 overall pick, but now scouts are kind of split down the middle on who they would pick. So it kind of depends on who New Jersey picks. But like I said, Hischier's a great player as well. So we'll see what happens with the Flyers.
All right, to kind of compare it to another sport, since you know I'm not the biggest hockey guy in the world, it kind of seems a little bit like the Ben Simmons, Brandon Ingram thing from the NBA draft last year. Ben Simmons was the consensus number 1 overall pick, and then Brandon Ingram kind of made that late charge. Still got picked number 2 overall, but there was talk about him potentially going number 1. So now when you say that kind of stuff, it reminds me of that.
Yeah, very, very similar to that, where Patrick was definitely by far the best prospect, and he's still the best prospect, but his injury concerns kind of might scare some GMs into not picking him, but everybody gets injured. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I'd be ecstatic if Patrick fell to the Flyers at 2, but at the same time, I mean, you can't go wrong with Nico Hischier either.
Yeah. Can't complain, man. Got the number 2 overall pick. It was a miracle that you even got it.
Yeah, well, yeah, getting the pick really jumpstarts the Flyers' rebuild here because now they have Claude Giroux, and then this guy will probably slot in at the 2 centerman spot, which is going to be great for the Flyers moving forward.
Yeah. Now, you referenced, these prospects. They may not be that guy like an Austin Matthews or a Connor McDavid. So if they're not as good as those guys, just how good are they going to be?
Well, they're still going to be franchise players, but they're not going to be franchise-changing players. I mean, you saw McDavid took his team almost all the way to the Western Conference Finals. They were 1 goal away this year. Yeah. And so, I mean, these guys aren't going to come in and score at a point-per-game pace. There's talk that with Ron Hextall's state of mind where he doesn't want to rush prospects, the number 2 overall pick might not even play in the NHL this year. So we'll see what happens. They aren't those transcendent type players where they have to be on your team. chances are they can play their way onto the team because the Flyers really aren't that great. The trade with Filppula kind of throws a little bit of a wrench into that because now they have him at center for this year. So the Flyers are deep down the middle. If you want to say deep, I mean, they aren't great down the middle, but deep enough where, whoever gets picked second overall might not make the team. But like you said, they're definitely not Connor McDavid type prospects, but they aren't James Van Riemsdyk type prospects either. They're going to fall somewhere in the middle, hopefully.
Okay, because when I think of McDavid, I see, obviously top 3 player in the league potential. Mm-hmm. Maybe even the top guy over time. We'll see. See how it happens. So, where would you put them in terms – I mean, it's hard to project right now, obviously. Yeah. But can they be top 10 players? Are they more like top 10, top 20 players? Where do you see them being?
Yeah, well, any player who's picked in the top 2 has potential to be top 10. But the way the league is going now, it's definitely becoming a younger league. But when you have players like McDavid and Matthews and Laine who are already in that top 10, and then you have the veterans like Crosby and Malkin and Taves, I mean, they're not going to be top 10 players within their first year. I wouldn't even say probably not even within their second year, but they definitely have potential to be top 30 players. I mean, they'll probably be the Devils. They'll be the best player on the Devils moving forward. And for the Flyers, I mean, they have players like Claude Giroux and Jake Voracek and Gostisbehere and Provorov. So, I mean, with the Flyers, they'll still probably be a top 30 centerman, maybe top 40, but we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see who they pick. Now, obviously, the draft is more than one round. So, what position would you like to see the Flyers really target the most?
It has to be somewhere on offense. I really want a winger because the Flyers, they're going to get the number 2 overall pick. It's going to be a centerman. Chances are they're going to keep them at center in their natural position because you don't want to move somebody who's played center their entire life, is this top prospect, and move them to the wings. So in the later rounds, what I would like to see the Flyers do is definitely try to target wingers. But regardless, you want to go best player available. I mean, the Flyers are stacked on defense, but if there's some beautiful player who falls to them in the second round and he's a defenseman and you can't pass on him, then you can't pass on him. I mean, there's always a chance to trade somebody you have in your system for another need. So if I had a choice, I'd definitely try to focus on winger, but if somebody falls to you, you have to take them.
Yeah, I got you. All right, other than that, I not really many more questions on the agenda for the number 2 overall pick. I mean, there wasn't really much to talk about. So I guess we'll get into the playoffs now. Just quick playoffs talk. We had a pair of Game 7s last night. Anaheim, Edmonton. We also had Pittsburgh and Washington. I'll tell you what. You know that I'm not a big hockey guy, but they've been a lot better than the NBA playoffs. The NBA playoffs have been a snooze fest. There's been nothing going on in the NBA. You're just waiting for the Warriors and Cavs to go for it in the NBA finals. But these hockey playoffs have been exciting. I mean, they're always exciting. The hockey playoffs are very, very underrated for that casual fan. Dude, they're great. They really are. And these 2 series that wrapped up last night were tremendous.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, basketball, they shouldn't even play the season. They should just have a best-of-7 series with the Cavs and the Warriors and then end the season there. That should be it. But with hockey, it's always going to be different. Who would have thought that the Ottawa Senators would be going into the Eastern Conference Finals? I mean, nobody saw that coming. And it's great to see the type of parity that you have in the NHL. Yeah, the Penguins won last year, and yeah, they're 4 games away from getting into the finals again, but they still got to get over another team. And it's awesome. Like you said, 2 pairs of Game 7s last night. Unfortunately, the Penguins won, which is something we don't want to see. But, I mean, the Capitals, they choke again. They have home ice advantage. It's a best-of-1 series at that point in Game 7, and they put up a goose egg. They can't score at all. It's, people, they're rash, and people are saying trade Ovechkin, fire Trotz, just rebuild. But, we'll see what happens. I really don't think they should rebuild that team. They're a good team. It's just they got to find a way to get over the hump there, and maybe Ovechkin's not the guy to do it. But in the other Game 7, I'm a huge Ducks fan, and I'm pretty happy that they were able to get over the hump with the Oilers there. It's the first Game 7 they've won in God knows how long. So that was good to see, but like you said, it's always exciting and a lot better than any playoffs in any other sports.
This is where I got to blame Bill. I'm going to blame Bill for a second because he convinced me that this year was different, that the Capitals were going to go to the Stanley Cup Finals and they were going to win it all. I originally had the Penguins and the Ducks in the Stanley Cup Finals in our pool, and I switched it. and I switched it to the Capitals, and I had them winning it all. So I'm pissed. Bill, it's all your fault. I'm not taking any blame for getting that wrong. I should.
That's on. Yeah, that's on Bill. That's not on you.
He's supposed to be the expert, and he fucked up.
He did. He got it all right last year. So I mean, I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, dude, he always gets it right. Like dude, he's spot on with everything. But I don't think anyone had Ottawa going that far. I'll tell you that.
No, I had them losing in the first round, so that was tough. But I think they have a good chance to beat the Penguins. So we'll see.
Well, there's probably a little bias when you say that.
Well, no, I mean, Erik Karlsson has been the best player in the playoffs this year by far. I mean, I was watching the NHL Network earlier today, and Karlsson, every time that his team has scored in a game that they won, he has either scored the goal or gotten an assist. He's been on the ice for every single goal. So it's pretty impressive to see what he's doing right now.
Yeah. I mean, sure, I'll root for them. Fuck the Penguins. See what happens. Okay, so all right, so I'll let you give your picks. Who you think will win the series, and then we'll kind of do final thoughts and we'll get out of here. So, Senators and Penguins. I'll put you on the spot. Then, are they going to beat the Penguins?
No, Penguins will win, but I would be very ecstatic if the Senators won. They have a chance, but it's going to be difficult. I mean,
can they take it like 6-7 games?
It'll probably go to at least 6 games. I don't think they'll show up flat there, but we'll see what happens. I don't think there's a chance that they win, but not a high chance. So that'll be the interesting series. But the series to watch will be the Western Conference one.
Yeah, you got Ducks and Predators. So Peter Laviolette, man.
Mm-hmm.
How about that? Putting that scam out there in Nashville.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, they're playing so well right now. Pekka Rinne, I think, has a .951 save percentage in the playoffs, which is ridiculous. For every 20 shots, he's saving 19 of them. So that's pretty impressive for a goalie 2 rounds into the playoffs going against some of the best teams. So I think I'm going to ride the hot hand there. Even though I want the Ducks to win, I'm going to go with the Predators in that series, probably also in 6 or 7.
Isn't Pekka Rinne always hot in the playoffs? Doesn't he always do this? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
I mean, he tries. Sometimes they can't get their offense going, but Nashville has the best defense in the league. I really do think that the Stanley Cup champion comes out of the West this year. So whoever wins the Predators-Ducks series is going to be the team to win the Cup this year.
Do you know who was always the most clutch goalie well, I'm sure there's better ones, but one that I always thought of because the Ducks right now are in the Western Conference Finals, Jean-Sebastien Giguère. Dude, that guy like flipped the switch in the playoffs all the time. It was unbelievable.
He played a series against the Minnesota Wild where the Ducks won all 4 games. He only let in 1 goal the entire series. 3 shutouts, 1 game where they scored 1 goal. I think he's actually the only player, and they've changed the rule since then, to win the Conn Smythe for a losing team in the playoffs. So when they played the Devils and they lost, he still won the Conn Smythe trophy.
Unbelievable. And yeah, to think, that guy was always clutch in the playoffs. I'm trying to think of somebody like Luongo always choked, right? He was the guy that always choked for the Canucks.
Yeah, not too great there.
I shouldn't really be talking anymore. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
But no, that was a good pull with Giguère. I mean, he was definitely one of the best goalies in the playoffs.
I mean, I can talk like NHL playoffs history because that's the only time I watch hockey is during the playoffs. That's
the best time to watch. So
that's it. And I told you this before. I might not be a big hockey guy, but I like the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Like the playoffs are legit. The playoffs are awesome. Like an overtime hockey game is fucking awesome.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So I've been, like these NBA playoffs. Well, there's no NHL tonight, but it's like I got them on DVR. I got all these games on DVR, and I'm watching the hockey playoffs and not the NBA. Like I don't care about Boston, Washington right now.
No, it doesn't.
Boston, Washington. That series, it's whoever wins that series is the sacrificial lamb for the Cavaliers. Who cares?
Yeah, the Cavs haven't even lost the game yet, have they? Like
Cavaliers have not lost. Warriors have not lost the game.
Makes no sense. I don't.
2-team league. It's a 2-team league. The Spurs, okay, maybe you can win it all, but the Warriors and Cavs, that's it. Like there's no contenders, and that's why the NBA playoffs stink.
Yeah, everybody knows what the end goal is going to be, so there's no point to watch until the finals.
Yeah, I mean the finals are gonna be epic, but
That's it.
that's it. So it was like last year. Last year, it's like the same thing. So, all right. Okay, Stanley Cup winner. Did you pick Ducks? No, you didn't. You didn't pick Ducks.
I guess I would, with my picks, I'd have to go Predators.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's an upset, right?
I guess. I mean, the way they've been playing, they've almost probably played themselves into the favorite spot with the way they've been playing in the playoffs.
I don't know what I'm talking about. So you would have Predators and Penguins.
Penguins.
Oh God, the Penguins are going to win it all again.
No, they're not. It's not going to happen. I'll cry.
So he's going to jam out the Penguins.
Absolutely, it's going to be his revenge tour on the Penguins.
I hope so, man. They're not allowed to win it all. It's like it should be a rule. Like
It should be.
not be allowed to win the Stanley Cup again.
I'm not cool with that.
I'm not either.
No.
You know? Not that I wanted to see the Capitals win either. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like I always laugh when I see people crying in the stands after a loss like that. It's great. I enjoy it.
Wouldn't you cry if the Eagles got to the Super Bowl though, and then they lost?
Well, that's why I enjoy it, because I've felt that so many times. And I hate it. Oh, I've definitely cried. 2002, when Rondé Barber started running that interception back for a touchdown. Oh man, the tears were streaming down my face. It's awful.
It's tough. I don't know if I cried in 2010 when the Flyers lost, but I remember being pretty disappointed.
I was too drunk to cry, so I was just slamming shit.
That's probably what I was doing.
Yeah. Once I got a little older, started drinking during my watching games.
There you go. That's the way to deal with it.
Yeah. So, all right, we'll end it now. Final thoughts? You got anything?
It's just exciting that the Flyers got this opportunity to get the 2nd overall pick in a draft where the top 2 players are really the only 2 players to really worth getting. So it's exciting to see what they're going to be able to do with this. Like I said, it's going to jumpstart their rebuild. So I'm definitely excited to see what the Flyers have in store for us next year.
There we go. All right, that's Caleb Weiler. I'm Adrian Fedke. I'm going to go watch my NBA playoffs in the DVR and go watch another blowout. That's what I'm going to do. Peace out.